Yoski Broskis, coming up is a part of the almost 13-hour-long Wowee Super Spec Sheet re-ranking talk show, epic stream, marathon, and giveaway extravaganza. If you like this content, please consider subscribing to the channel and enjoy. Here, I'll go ahead and bring Starbuck in. Starbuck, what's going on, man?
Yeah.
You there?
You guys can hear me, but don't worry, I can't hear you.
Uh-oh.
your volume is very low.
1 second.
He can't hear us yet.
Got it. I'm in.
There he is. All right, your
Can you hear us
volume's
now?
like super low, but I can probably
Yeah.
turn you up.
How's that sound?
Oh,
that
there you
sounds
go. There he
incredible.
is.
Beautiful.
Oh, there's a microphone.
Oh boy. How long before your throat is going to explode? You realize that?
You realize that's my normal voice, right?
Oh, now you're putting on a voice. This is the
Yeah,
fake voice that you put on. Yeah.
That's his accent that he's holding back.
Voice. Hey guys. Oh, okay.
I believe this is the third Mythic Squad member on the stream today.
Oh my god.
Hopefully
Well,
we-
I mean, technically
Hopefully
four.
we have more.
Oh yeah, Wowie's I guess technically Mythic Squad. But...
Technically, no, I am a Mythic Squad.
Yeah.
Technically, Wowee is Mythic Squad.
Yeah.
Purple through and through. Purple is.
Well, we'll talk about that later. Don't worry. We'll
Yeah. Sure.
Wowie's Mythic Squad or not.
Yeah. But Wowie, I think we should also we have a new guest
Yes,
that
we
was
do.
Unplanned. We should probably bring on too.
Now, Starbuck, I think
Yeah.
you're here for a real treat because we have a surprise guest who graciously made time in his busy schedule, and I'm super stoked to bring him in. Hubert Cumberdale, what is going on, man?
Hey guys.
Thanks for popping on with us.
Yeah, I'm like starstruck right now. I don't know what to do. Like, I don't know what to do with my
Did I
hands.
pick the right time or what?
Yeah.
Thanks again.
I had to turn off the YouTube video because I was getting really confused. I was listening to that and you guys talking and it was out of sync. But
Oh no.
Well, did you catch? We had a lot of good debates there with Just Crypto, aka Bob.
Yeah, I'm dying to hear what you think.
I did hear a little bit of it. I kind of jumped in, like 10 minutes ago. So I will say I have watched a couple of Just Crypto's recent videos, and I found them to be, very enjoyable to watch. For me, it's anyone creating any content about our game makes me really happy. But it was, I thought, very informative, and I think especially with this Rockbog fight, it is very. We made it very hard. So it's nice to see people trying to like help explain the nuances of it and whatnot. So and I think I agreed with a lot of his points as well about like how he plays his archers. I mean personally I do the channeling tree pretty much exclusively. But I also prefer control, and I find it to work out quite well for myself and the way I play. But my fights are also a bit longer as a result as well. So
Can you
Right.
like run us through the mentality of going the channel tree? Because I think general consensus is that like it feels underpowered because of the time investment.
yeah, I mean, I think that's true, and it can get interrupted, and that sucks. So I mean, there's a risk involved with it, but for example, like sharpshooter, like you can get so much damage out with that, plus its follow-up basic attack, and that follow-up basic attack is just nice because it doesn't matter if you got feared or any other different status effect, you can almost always do a basic attack. So like as long as you get the first part of that done, I think the combo is really nice for that.
Well, and the accuracy is going to
And the
be
accuracy.
significantly better. Yeah.
Yeah, like at least with my archer, which does have pretty decent decks, it's like 100% pretty much on anything I'm shooting, and unless like blind or whatever.
Sure.
But yeah, so but I find at least with the rock box as well, like there's things you can do with channeling that you can't do with the other skills. Like if you're not going to be able to kill the egg that's about to hatch, you can put a channel skill on it, and as soon as it hatches, you're going to hit it with something pretty heavy before it can like turn into a demon, and so you'll weaken it a bit, or maybe even be able to kill it before it transforms. So I think there's some tricks that you can do with it that I find enjoyable, and also like you don't run into like the multi-hit problems that you get against like the passive that the demons have either. So it's a little bit easier to like take those out. Like I did one fight where I had to take out 2 different demons, and I succeeded with my guys, and they're not really that great either. I have an Elgrin's Aegis on my knight, which is a common knight, but it's a knight archer priest team, and the other 2 are both just rares. So,
yeah, I mean, when it's especially when they're become the void monsters, like you want that like single burst, like crazy high damage, and versus. I think like with the boars, you know, chipping away at them slowly with like a knight or a warrior, you know, you could succeed, but you know that chipping away little damage is not going to work when you're up against those void monsters. So I in the past I have not done the channeling, but like since the rock box I've started doing that more at my archers, and especially like I was saying earlier, adding the priest swiftness move to it. I really like it.
Yeah, I haven't tried. Swiftness is one I always go with either Prayer of Might or the circle. But I do like the Prayer of Might, my channel abilities, because it adds on a pretty decent chunk of damage. So
that's interesting. I never use that one.
So I think I'm going to attempt to pull a little bit of something from you.
Okay.
There is. I mean, I'm going to be forthright with it. I'm not going to try and trick anybody into anything. There's a class on the horizon, but that's all we know. Is there any information you can hand out regarding the class on the horizon?
I mean, I'll say that there are hints in everything that kind of came with the Rockbach fight, in terms of, and I'll also say that we're actually working on 2 classes, but probably we'll release one before the other, but we're trying to do balancing for 2 at the same time.
That's interesting.
But yeah, there's the hints would be just what did we release with all this. There's a lot of stuff that we did mechanic wise to get set up for classes. There's also other things. I don't know. I don't want to just flat out say it, but I think there are plenty of hints there in what we did.
Do either of the classes coming out rhyme with beer or berserker?
Great question.
Great question. We'll see.
I mean, I've said this. Earlier I made a bold statement on my podcast, Bogside Chats, every Tuesday night, 9 p.m. I said I think pirate is going to be the next class. I made a pretty bold claim on that. I'm rescinding that, and my new guess is berserker, because specifically of the addition of the gore axe. I think that thing was designed for a berserker, and I think that is my new guess right now. Yeah, not financial advice.
Well, I mean, what new mechanics came out, right? I think that was the inventory and the battle budget. I think you're discounting Thief altogether.
True.
I guess we'll see.
No, I know you can't say that. I do want to ask a question that we talked to KP earlier today, and we had Workhorse on. That was super fun. But I do want to hear your opinion. Huge announcement, the PvP on Metis, and also today the biggest news. This was like earlier. It is 8 p.m. So I feel like maybe this is old news by now. But Dreamer dropped this in a tweet that the deal was $2 million being allocated to DeFi Kingdoms. That is huge. What are your thoughts on the release of that number being out there now public, but also just the deal in general?
Yeah, so I mean, it was really a great deal. Like when the topic came up, when I finally heard about it, which is a little bit later down the road, the concerns we've been looking at other chains and talking to other chains about things we could do, and a lot of the chains that we ran into had issues of one kind or another. It's like, gas is going to be too expensive, or like their block size is way too small, or various issues. But with Metis and kind of the idea that came about of just doing PvP there, it opened up kind of a possibility of us doing a lighter, more focused version of a portion of DFK rather than the whole thing. So I think that really just set off a lot of like ideas. It's like, oh wow, yeah, if we do that, we can do all these things, and they're willing. They like that idea. And it's like, okay, cool, this is awesome. So I think for us, we have been kind of running on a little bit of steam for a while, in terms of like just the team has not been operating at like full paid hours and things like that for a good while. So it's very welcome to be able to see us be able to turn ourselves back up. You know, what we've produced has been produced with this team of just really dedicated people that are willing to kind of have been sacrificing for a while to just keep things going. But, you know, with this happening, it means we're going to be able to, you know, turn up everyone to, you know, full time and, you know, potentially hire 1 or 2 more people, and really start getting to go on things. So that's really exciting to me. You know, I know a common complaint has been that it takes us a long time to do things. And the reason has just been because we haven't had the resources to allow us to go much faster than we have. But that's changing. So, you know, that's really exciting for me. And it also allows us, you know, I think just the timing is really good as well. You know, we're not going to get, what I wanted was to have all of the basic classes ready to go for when we did PvP. So we're going to jump the gun a little bit on that, but I think it'll be all right. Like, as we add more classes, it's just going to change the meta. People are going to try different things. You know, it's also just opens up a whole new avenue of gameplay that we don't have yet, which I think will be awesome. You know, so I'm really excited.
Yeah, no, it's super exciting. And I want to just want to confirm with you now. I think you said it in a Discord chat, but you're ready to go. I should phrase it probably better than that, but I've been on for a long time now. But you're ready to go with the version of PvP.
Dude, what the fuck?
You're ready to go with the version of PvP without all the classes being released, and you're going to go live with it, is the question.
Yes, that is what we're going to have to do, because we're not going to have all the classes ready by the
Right.
deadlines that
How
we have.
many do you
so
think you're gonna have?
I think at least 6.
Ooh, that's alpha.
And that's a goal anyway. I mean, we'll
Yeah.
see. But I think we can pull that off. You know, maybe we can get more than that. It's kind of going to depend on a lot of things. You know, we have we do have a lot to figure out just in like the approach we're going to take for doing this, because there are concerns about, you know, the gas costs on Metis, but they're also like doing a big upgrade pretty soon. That's going to bring that gas cost down. So what we do is going to kind of depend on that. And also just kind of the proof of concepts that we come up that we're working on right now. But, you know, I expect we're going to come up with a good solution either way. It's going to work. With one, like, we're kind of like between 2 different options right now, but I think either one's going to be great, and it's just a great opportunity for us. I guess I'll note on the $2 million front is a quarter of that is dedicated to like operation costs and community incentives and things like that. So really is like 1.5 million to Kingdom Studios, and that's also with like with it kind of being based on releases and whatnot. With it, we have kind of goals set, so we didn't receive like all of it all at once.
I figured, the internal structure of that, I'm sure you guys will figure out. Like,
right.
Hubert, how's the response been to the new Archer nerfing?
It's been not the best. I've been watching and I've been seeing.
If you're looking for balance, at least you've got close to 50% positive, and I think that's balance, right?
I mean, yeah. Like, I mean, we can talk about it if you want. Like, it was kind of one of these things where, you know, I guess it would have been
coming. We knew it was going to sting.
Yeah. Like, I mean, it was pretty obvious that archers were overpowered, and I think a lot of people were, you know, realizing that. And it from like a balance perspective, and especially when we're talking about, you know, we're focusing on PvP next, like, I wanted to kind of, you know, make those adjustments in advance so people can get used to the new paradigm. It doesn't mean that we're not going to change things further, and not necessarily in a bad way. Like, if one of the changes, you know, made like the flurry tree just way unusable, which I don't think is necessarily true, but if it is like so much less, you know, usable now, we might make some adjustments there. Or, you know, for one small stone as well, I think I'm with Jess. I don't use it all the time, but I actually, with my channeling Archer, I do actually have that as one of like something that I will use for certain occasions. So that doesn't really, the change doesn't affect how I play with mine. But I know other people just like to use the same skill over and over again. So I get that it changes your play style. Like, we forced a change in play style with this update that we did. It did make battles with Archer a little bit harder to have like the really fast runs. But I guess from my perspective, like the Archers were just a little bit too powerful that they would just bypass a lot of the mechanics that we put in to even make the fight hard in the first place. So it needed to be adjusted. And when PvP comes, I also didn't want it to just be like, all right, if you're not using 3 Archer teams that are going full blast, like you're just going to lose. Like I didn't want that situation either.
I would say it was interesting timing because the day before that, you've got people asking about, adding MP to Second Life and Resurrection to make the best trait even better,
Right.
And then the very next day is like, you know what? They want something. Let's take a lot.
Yeah. Like, I mean, it's really hard to say, like, when is the best time. Like, at the moment, we had some bugs we needed to fix. We had some, we knew it was an issue and it was something we were looking at that moment. So it was just like, okay, let's do this now. But, it is kind of a hard pill to swallow. And like, I'll just say that we're turning our focus very heavily. Like we already have one of the classes have like 75 of its skills programmed. And that doesn't mean like we have the animation set up and whatnot for it, but it's getting close to being able to like be put in the engine and we can actually be testing the skills and balancing them. So it's not that far off before, that's our main focus right now. Besides, also getting everything ready and set up for PvP. Like it's kind, we're usually doing like 2 or 3 things at once. So, things are going to keep changing. And it's not always going to be a good change for some classes, but we're trying to just ensure that we have a good balance. And try to avoid times where it's just like a completely, like mostly nerf patch, but that's not always something we can avoid either.
We see all the nerfing going on. It's like, when is there going to be a positive patch? Was there a positive patch and I just missed it?
Warrior got a buff.
Warrior's been getting some buffs, yeah.
Yeah, Warrior's awesome now. I mean, almost. Warrior's almost awesome now.
It's good.
Yeah, I think it's good. I mean, it kind of meets the design goals of like it's good and gets way better with the right equipment. I think there's maybe only one Excalibur out there, but that's one that is really fun to have if you can get one. And the Gorax is also, can get some pretty heavy hits out too. But I think even in our testing after we did these nerfs to Archer, we were still finding that like being able to win consistently, it was done with the Archer teams even after the changes. So like Archer is still really strong. It's hard. It's a little bit harder to use now, but it's still it does the most damage of any of the classes still. Like we didn't take that away.
It turned out the most overpowered ability was having range 3. I mean, this is pretty interesting though, and I've been wanting to ask the team for a long time, like, and it's a little bit of an offshoot, but it has to do with traits. And I think we're all aware that some traits are in, number one, need of balance, like they need to be rebalanced, and number two, a number of traits are going to get reworked. Speed being like a very prominent example. Can you give us any insight to like the methodologies you guys are going through to consider these reworks and rebalances when it comes to how traits interact with what's present in the game already?
Yeah, so I mean, I think we've actually already done some changes that haven't been announced at this point, but let me see if I can go look at those real quick.
Do you want to just share a screen real quick, or
no?
Yeah, because I can hide it.
But yeah, I mean, the process is typically with me and Workhorse. We kind of like, I usually have him do a first pass at things, and then I come in and critique things and kind of talk through. It's like, all right, so if we set this here, we're adding this much damage to these attacks, or is this too strong, or do we have an issue here? There was one issue that we kind of solved. I guess I'll mention is like a lot of these skills may not seem like or traits may not seem like that effective if they're attached to like a mage, because of the way we had set it up with basic attacks. So we did something to address that, and We
explosion.
what was that?
No, dude, I think there's a couple basic moves that have like a basic attack built into them. I think that's what he's referring to. But-
Right. Yeah. That's
Yeah,
I think
quite
explosion's
a few
one
of
of them too.
Explosion is one.
all right, yeah. I thought it was
Or
just AOE.
It did attack. Yeah, we
I
kind of
see.
made
Yeah,
an
yeah, yeah.
adjustment there. So there's a new keyword that we're going to be introducing that just it's only for these traits, but it's just to make them a bit more universal. So that I think some of these traits are always going to be a little bit more useful in certain classes, like the chatterbox, for example, just to be able to avoid silence on your mages. I think that's really useful for that. But we did want to, the process is basically us kind of just talking through everything and kind of taking the knowledge that we have now with how much we've developed the game versus this was like one of the first things that we did before we even had a working, product at that point. So there were a lot of ideas that sounded good at the time, but when it got time to this point, like we did make a pretty big change to. I think speed didn't even make sense anymore after we changed things. So speed's different. But and I think it's still pretty good. But we're going to also have to go through the process of implementing all these and then getting it in the hands of our testers and having them try them all out and tell us which ones are too OP and too weak, and then adjusting further as well. It's kind of the general process that we go through. And I don't know. I guess it's not super. It's not like a very strict process either. I think we kind of let the creative juices flow and my analysis just kind of attack at things. And then, once we feel it's a decent-ish spot, then we let the testers go on it as soon as we get it implemented.
Nice. I noticed you said the word testers. Is there more than Sasha?
Winston also.
Yeah.
Of course, duh.
Sometimes near the end of our process, we have our knights get access at times to do some additional testing, and also like others on the team are always welcome. But
I was gonna say, you ever have
time too?
Do you ever have Fox go play some of it? Like,
I mean the offer is always open for everyone. I think those that are like the most focused like on the game committee do more of the testing than those that are doing like programming the smart contracts and whatnot. But I mean it's always an open invitation for those on our team to come and join in. And I've heard some feedback from some people, but it's mostly Sasha, mostly Winston, and then like me and Workhorse doing our own little test runs as well.
How cool. Starbuck, you're one of the people up here right now that I guess has limited time. I have no idea if you're going to be hopping off later, but you got some questions for Hubert?
Jeez. Hubert, so glad for you to make it. Let's talk about the PJ LAN tournament. Sounds like you guys have kind of shifted from that original, PvP won't be out. It's going to be a not rudimentary, but a more big style of gameplay. At this point right now, what can you tell us about PJ tournament? Especially since, a lot of us went into the PJ Perilous Journey thinking it was going to be one thing. What at least could you tell those people now that it could be?
So like just to be honest, I'll say that we really haven't made a lot of decisions on the PJ front. This is more just like me kind of thinking through it again with the state of where we are right now. Like unfortunately, with the Perilous Journey and the timing of how things happened, we did kind of have quite an upheaval that forced us to really have to focus on specific things, like moving to Clayton at that time and kind of operating in the skeleton crew mode. So there wasn't resources to do the PJ tournament once we kind of got into that state. And it still was kind of my idea that, the tournament system that I want us to build is one that we can utilize not just for PV, like for a combat system, but for anything else. Like there'd be potential to have duels tournaments where maybe there's actually more choice involved, or other kind of tournaments where we have a different game mode. And that different game mode, what I was originally thinking was that we would do something that was more automatic and on chain and just kind of based on the stats of the hero, kind of like duels but different. that was kind of the initial idea I had. And we could still do something like that, depending on kind of the timing of things and, you know, how we can make that work. Because with the Perilous Journey heroes, they're not all, you know, there's more than just the classes we've implemented right now available. And we don't want to create a situation where it's like, where we do these tournaments prematurely. And so what about all those heroes? Like, we don't want to create a situation like that. So, you know, there's things to think about. You know, I think there could be something we could do still to make that work if it was in combat, but it's really something where it's going to kind of depend on, I guess, the momentum we get and, you know, where we're allocating our resources. I think probably the fastest thing we'd be able to do would be to do some sort of like combat based PvP tournament, just because that's where our resources are going to be focused on. If we decide to go a different route, then it's going to be a bit longer before we can get to doing that. And I know that's something that, you know, people have been waiting on for a long time, and I hate having those things that exist still, like, as you know, page 10 of the Eternal Story as well. And, you know, we took care of the amulets argument, and so I'm glad about that. But, you know, we still do have quite a few different things that are on the list to get done. And so there's oftentimes kind of a discussion of, do we change what we were going to do so that we can get this addressed sooner, or, you know, do we keep sticking with it? And this is one where we haven't really made that decision.
Well, if you did, I mean, I initially, we thought that you could go into it with one hero. If it did change to combat, would the minimum requirement be that you have 3 PJ heroes instead to match what PvP is?
So that's where I think we would have to kind of make some decisions about, like, you know, maybe just having a PJ hero gives you an entry, and then what the team you actually use doesn't have to have those. Like in the example where we do this before all the classes are in the combat engine, like that might be what we'd have to do. But
Starbuck, I think this is, I think it's so early in this process that I don't even know if the answers right now that you're giving right now to this would even pertain to the actual end results, you know?
Oh, totally. I didn't think we were going to walk away with something substantial, but if you just had something that gives you an indication of what it could be in the future, it'd probably be beneficial to those investors.
Right. Yeah, and you know, I get it. I mean, the PJ heroes are uniquely marked heroes. They went through a unique experience and survived that journey to Crystal Vale. So, you know, we haven't forgotten that, you know, they're a thing, and we want to make sure that we give them, you know, the content that we promised. It's just it's still going to be a bit of time, and like I said, like if we were to expedite it, it would be in kind of a form of having it be something like that, where we maybe give you an entry with your PJ heroes, but you don't have to use only them. Or, you know, if we give it more time, we have more time to kind of build out the rest of our game modes, then we can maybe look at doing something where it's still that one hero doing something in a tournament.
Excited to hear what comes from that discussion. I'd love to be a fly on the wall in that one.
Well, we when we had a Dreamer on Bogside Chats, we told him, you know, he was talking about the different committees that are within like the Kingdom Studios, and we were like, if he just like would record what the game committee, like record those meetings and give that to us, I think we all would like eat it up of what you guys just sit around talking about. Like, because I think everyone in this community, like, yeah, we want to see PJ stuff, but we love the team and we love all the people involved. So like, we know you're working on it, but like, we're so curious about what's going on.
Yeah, Hubert, we had Workhorse on a couple weeks ago, and he had mentioned that he anticipates by the end of the year we could see the Elite Heroes codexes. What are your thoughts on that, and does that fit your timeline?
Elite or advanced?
Elite.
Oof.
I could see it happening. I mean, Workhorse right now has been kind of focused in different areas, so I haven't had him working on those as his priority. But that's shifting now as we're getting closer to being able to ramp up just our class development within the combat engine. So that also means we need to make sure that we're keeping a good backlog of codexes available to be able to transition to as well. So I do have him kind of slated to start, focusing back on that and getting back to the advanced classes. He had already been working on one for a while, but then it kind of got backburnered. So I think he'll probably start on that one. But yeah, I think, right now there's 6 advanced classes at the moment, and that's not that many.
Yeah, true.
So I could see an elite happening. I could also see it not happening. It's really going to kind of depend on a lot of things. Because we
balanced answer. Appreciate it.
yeah.
How long does it normally take to like build out a codex, or say go from codex to playable class? Like how long does that usually take?
So yeah, I guess building out a codex can kind of vary depending on like how well I receive it from him. Like there was a couple times like with Wizard where we went through a couple iterations of that before we both felt good about it. But there's been other classes where it was just like, yep, this is great. We'll just change a few things and cool, let's move on. Like we were on a pretty big roll at the beginning when we were first doing codexes. As far as like time to get it out into testing, Beetle can be, it depends on the mechanics. Like that's a big piece of it. Like if we have to add a new mechanic to the combat engine, depending on how complex it is, that can take, over a week sometimes. Which I think a lot of what we were doing recently was, with the Rockblock fight in general was trying to address some of those bigger lifts items, like the time bar was something we thought was necessary just because we're adding a whole bunch more to like adjusting where someone's turn order is, adding slow and haste and other things like that, where it's like if we don't show this, it's just going to be confusing and hard for people. So that was a big thing, and it allowed us to also be able to show when a delay event is coming in a more clear way. There are at least a couple basic classes that have delay events. There are great potential to have more delay events. I think maybe 3 classes have delay events that are basic. But so like now that we have the option, like we can create those now pretty easy. So say all the mechanics are there. I'd say for Beetle, it probably is just a couple of weeks of getting it all set up. Maybe less depending on how busy he is with other things. But and then we also need to get the animation aspect to it in there as well. But we can start testing with just it kind of being like a really basic animation. But then the art team needs, depending on how advanced they want to go with the animation, they need time to do that. And then, make the, I forget what they call it. I guess the wireframes. I don't know if that's the right word for it, but just like for moving the hero, getting their body motion in place, the visual effects, also little sound effects as well. Like all of that probably takes another, hopefully it should be done in tandem, but like I'd say another couple weeks or so with that.
Please review our last 2 streams to hear Beeve's comments on how the sounds should be.
Mythic Squad has a lot of opinions.
I don't like the 8-bit sounds.
Well, the nether regions don't tingle, you might not have hit the mark. We've got guilds in this game, and it hasn't been the biggest aspect in this so far. How do you see that changing this year, if at all?
I think we do have, I don't want to say too much because I don't know how much has been announced, but we are starting to look at more collaboration with guilds if they're interested in doing it for some things. And it's once it's done, I think it's easy to say. I just don't know if it's been announced, so I don't want to say exactly what's happening. But we are looking at least just for the kind of a more simple collaboration for something we can do in the game. We do have in mind once we do have land functionality out to be able to have there be guild functionality attached to that. But land functionality is kind of one of the later things that we're going to be addressing, kind of along the same lines as crafting. So it's hard to say exactly when we are going to do that. I think it'd be coming after traveling. So this year, I think it's probably going to be that first thing I alluded to is what we're going to see the most of. And maybe we'll also have we do have the option of having third-party tournaments as like our final goal with this effort with Metis. I really hope to see more like what Mythic Squad did with the Boar Hunt tournament, like to host actual PvP tournaments as well. And I'd love to be able to see that degree of interaction with our players.
Well, I think I can say this right now. I know this just because I know this community. Even with the first stage of what is being proposed with the Coliseum, with the private matches, we'll end up whipping up community-based tournaments just based on that. I mean, I can tell you that right now. Like, there's going to be, the community's going to want to do that. So I think that's definitely something that's everyone's excited for.
Yeah, and I'm super excited to see that start up. Like, as soon as we can get that going, it's going to be awesome. So,
what do you know about these upcoming deathmatch duels?
I know stuff. I think it kind of is. It's. I'll just say that it's kind of intended to be both players are aware that they're doing it, and it's not within the normal rotation of things, but it's an option that we're adding for people to be able to do. And it probably, like, based on the name, I think you can guess what it means. But I don't. That it's Fox is the one that's been doing that design work, and I haven't really seen exactly what he's done on that specifically, so I don't want to say more than that, and I also don't want to steal his opportunity to kind of go into more details later.
Yeah.
Well, just text him and tell him to come on the stream.
Yeah, exactly. Pop on, Fox. We're excited about seeing any type of new burn mechanic coming in. The hero class shift that you just made was a good way to curb hero inflation.
The hero class, what? Sorry.
The archer nerf, it really changed our it helped us,
Yeah, okay.
That inflation.
Yeah, I guess not as desired as they were before, perhaps, but I still think they're still quite strong, and we're going to continue to be balancing things as we go. And we do have other burn mechanics that we're working on as well that we'll be able to talk about.
Well,
sometime.
Sort of along that same vein, this is something we were talking about earlier and joking, and I don't want to make his ego any bigger, but Stick's intern did beat the rock box immediately on his first try live on stream. Did that affect your decision to nerf them?
I was watching, and he did mention also that like we were talking in the Discord chat a little bit too, and he's like, I'm surprised you didn't nerf this. And then like I think it did. It's like, all right, I need to really pay attention to this like right now, because he's like a very strong I told you so. It's like, okay,
he's watching Stick's intern rip through and go, yep, shut it down.
Well, I mean, it's part of the double-edged sword of like how much involvement the community has in building this game, and how much how quickly the team can react to the community when like the gameplay is out there. Yes, it's maybe a little disappointing that it was a nerf, but I think it's really cool that like you guys are paying attention to what we're doing, we're paying attention to what you're doing, and it's sort of like a collaborative, building this game is collaborative in that way, which I think is fun.
I got a quick question for you here.
What? Let him answer that thing that I just said.
Oh yeah, go on.
Okay.
No, don't worry about it. Move on.
Okay. Am I talking or am I not?
Yeah. Go ahead and answer. I'm sorry.
Okay. Now that I've completely lost my train of thought.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I guess I'll just say, I hope I did kind of post a kind of bigger post in response to some of the upsetness about the nerf yesterday. That this is an ongoing process where we're going to have to release things that at times where it didn't get enough. It's hard to say when is it enough. Have we balanced enough? Have we checked everything? It's just there's too much that we put into this game that if we try to check every single thing as thoroughly as possible, it's just going to take way too long. So there will be times where we release something where we know it's maybe a little strong, but let's see how it goes. And other times where like these were our first classes, so we also were just kind of like just hoping we built something great. You know, a lot of us, it was our first time making a game like this, or making a game entirely. And so like it's also kind of an experiment, and you guys are along for the ride, and I hope that you will be, patient with us as we, we are going to make some mistakes and we are going to have to adjust. And I really feel strongly that we needed to make this adjustment to Archer. But we might adjust it back a little bit the other way too. So,
well, and I think this too, and I'll let Wowee go, but I just want to say too, I think seeing this the other way too, I think was like the Vizzies. I think all of us were kind of upset with the initial plan for the Vizzies, and the team was able to respond to the community like instantly. And it, that one was a little more positive, I think, than this Archer one. But just the fact that there is that collaboration, I think, makes this game kind of special.
That was another one of Stick's intern too.
That was another Stick's intern. Yeah.
We definitely have to have our lawyer bring out more of our argument points.
Yeah. Wow, you go now.
Oh, okay, yeah. So my question's more on a. I develop so many questions and then never ask any of them. Let's see.
I'm not gonna lie, I am starting to feel a little stream fatigue.
Yeah, I'm hitting the wall. I didn't expect it to just. It looks like almost 9 hours in seems to be the kick to the head portion. Ugh. All right, so first question. First question is to anyone who's having trouble with the hunts right now, which, I mean, honestly, deservedly, everyone should be having a little bit of trouble with the hunts right now. What in either your opinion or shown by data do you feel is probably the most important class to build, and for what stat?
The most important class to build. That is a very subjective question.
Yeah.
I think for me, I don't know that I mean, I use all 4 of the classes. I only have 2 teams that I have time to use with everything else going on. But I just have a Knight, Archer, Priest, and then I also have a couple of Warriors and a Priest. So I guess the common denominator in both of those is a Priest, which I know a lot of people go just heavy damage and ignore using healers, and I think that works. That's not really my style. I'm a little bit more ponderous in what I do. So, I think definitely making sure you have decent accuracy is probably going to be the most important thing, regardless of what class you do, because that just matters everywhere. So, I think there's a point where you can kind of not continually focus on dexterity or wisdom, and wisdom is for spellcasters, but and I think also I kind of agree with what the community has kind of come down to, as far as also at the early levels it's good to get vitality, and also intelligence too, just to get that initial amount of HP and MP growth engine going a little early is, I think, going to be beneficial. Because you do find a lot of classes that are otherwise really great stats, but then for some reason their HP or their MP just rolled bad every level or something like that. And it's just man, it's really hard to use this guy. But
I have a level 12 priest who just has no hit points, and I get so frustrated with him so much.
Get one shot sometimes.
Yeah,
how many heroes do you have, Hubert?
Not too many. I have less than 200. I don't know the exact number, but less than 200.
Do you have a Dread Knight?
I don't. I have not really been able to. I don't have much time to spend on summoning, honestly. I just I should, but yeah, I don't have a Dread Knight.
What's your favorite hero class that that is on the horizon, either released right now or not released?
I think.
I know Monk has always been.
Well, yeah. I mean,
obviously.
Monk is very special to my heart, so I guess I can just default to that. If I ignored Monk, I guess there's, the Shapeshifter. I guess I'm another guy that's kind of interesting, but Shapeshifter is kind of different in terms of how we set the stats for that, and how I think might have been thought of as what would a Shapeshifter have in terms of stat growth, and I think what we ended up with is quite different than what I would have initially imagined. So I am curious to see that fully out, once Workhorse and I get through like the codex and everything. I think it's going to be a pretty cool class as well. But yeah, I mean, Monk is just, I love monks.
Well, I will say,
play you, Hubert. Like if I would love the opportunity, and you'd smoke me hands down, but I'd love for the opportunity for you to even bash me in the game. Will that ever be feasible?
I would probably have to spend more time getting good heroes, I think. But I mean, I would like to join some of the tournaments. It'd be cool if we had like team like a
beat the team day,
beat the team day tournament, something like that.
You just put that in our wheelhouse, and I guarantee you the wheels in the Alphas chat is turning hard.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be really cool. I think a lot of us, it just, we get so busy with just doing the work that it's hard to really spend too much time actually playing the game. So I think those that are testers, like I believe Winston has a pretty decent stable of heroes, and he gets to, he's just in it all the time. So he's a lot more advanced. And I think also Workhorse, just being that he joined the team later on, like he'd already been a player of DFK and whatnot, so he has got a pretty decent stable as well. So
Hubert, I got a personal kind of personal, but why did you guys change the name from Transcendent to Exalted on the traits? We knew that there wouldn't be one after it. It was already called Transcendent, but what was the value in decreasing the name?
I don't think it was a decrease. I mean, well, whatever.
Well, it went from Exalted to Transcendent. What's not a decrease?
I mean,
they're just descriptive words. I don't think they have any value.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That why even lower
Yeah.
the word? Does that say you don't have to make it feel like a transcendent trait?
Oh, Mike, this question's insane. This is an insane question.
It's like,
hey, I'll ask the real question. You ask the pussy.
I mean, I kind of have OCD, and so like in terms of like a system where we've kind of created rankings of mutations, like we have, it was always basic, advanced, elite, exalted, myth, or transcendent. Like that was the naming for the tiers of mutation that existed. So when transcendent got put on those, it was it was something where I didn't actually review that. It just got put on there, and it's like, wait, that wasn't right. But it was already out, and people were talking about it, but it just kept grating on me that people were using the wrong name of like the rank of it. And so it was something that I just really wanted to change, because it didn't fit our system. So
I'm gonna tell you, hypothesis confirmed. Thank you, Hubert. And I've been ragging on you this whole time. Don't think it is like we're against you. We appreciate everything you're doing. Obviously, if we weren't passionate about the game, we wouldn't be passionate about our opinions of it.
Right now, I'm glad to be here to be able to talk about it too. Like, I want to make sure you guys understand at least where we're coming from, even if you don't necessarily agree with the choices we make. But we're just trying to make the best thing we can. So.
No, I appreciate that.
Can you envision a VR style of this game in the future?
Okay, hold on. We're gonna let other people talk, Starbuck. I do want to give you props, Hubert, though, because I think like the hour or like the afternoon you did the nerf. I do appreciate you getting in the Discord and chatting with people, and people were really going at you, and you were like talking to them and like justifying like why you did this nerf. So like I really appreciate you standing in there, and like I feel like you can take the trolls. Like I feel like you're ready.
Yeah,
Great
I mean,
so about the VR thing, Hubert.
Yeah, I don't know. VR mode is probably way down the road if we do it. Yeah, and I guess as far as like being there in the chat, I was happy to do it. It's it never feels great to have a bunch of people negative at the decisions that you made. And a lot of these things we do stress about a lot just internally before we actually do things. So it's always nice to get positive feedback, or at least some like wish you didn't do that, but we appreciate you kind of feeling.
Heated discussion is always appreciated.
Just as much balls to get in the Discord ring as it takes to get, I bet, in the IFC ring. So
yeah,
I don't even talk shit in there.
All right. Wow, are you still there? I haven't heard you in a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just letting the conversation happen, man.
I want to appreciate Hubert's time. I don't know how long he has. He said he only had a little bit.
Yeah,
so.
he said he had 30 minutes, and it's been almost an hour.
I think I could go until the end of the hour if you guys want me to.
Stay in the whole Starbuck hour.
The Starbuck Hubert hour. Look at that.
If I'm overshadowing too much Starbuck, I could go early too.
Hubert, I gotta get you a Mythic Squad hoodie. How do we get you in the Mythic Squad?
I mean,
he can't play favorites. He can't play favorites.
Yeah.
I think he can. I think he can.
Mythic to me, I'll tell you that.
it's like running for public office, yet you work for the government. You know what I mean? You can't be biased, right? But I mean, as a private citizen, you can be a fan.
I have asked this question to Bolon before, but I'd love to hear your opinion. Can the team members be part of guilds?
No, they can't.
Well, I want to hear it from him.
Yeah, I don't know. I wonder if we set like specific policy on that. I mean, I guess there's always the concern of like the appearance of playing favorites. Like that's something we don't want to have. So, I mean, if there was a way, I guess it'd be like join every guild. But then, are we really in any guild if we join every guild?
There you go.
So I mean, that's not to say like I even am I within the server of Mythic Squad, and I'm also like.
I don't know. The ADFK one too.
I'm in the ADFK one as well. Yeah. That's just because I think I had
been around,
interviews, or for some reason or another I went in there, but not necessarily saying I joined either one. But yeah, I mean, I think if there was a way we could do it where we didn't have that concern about favoritism, I think then I don't know that there would be much opposition to allowing it to happen, but I do think that argument kind of stands.
Yeah. No, I mean, I wouldn't expect the team to, but obviously I think everybody would have open arms,
Yeah. And I mean, I read the chat in ADFK and in Mythic Squad as well sometimes, especially when
yeah sorry for my language.
Sorry if you don't like boobies.
Oh, God damn it, Starbuck.
Beef had a pretty funny one about with a meme in Mythic Squad with exalted abilities better slap. I saw that. So
Mythic Squad has been very worried. Beef was on here talking about that. They are very worried that their fancy, 1-on-1 heroes are not going to be strong enough. And I don't know why they're worried about that.
I think your word choice is
I talked to Beef earlier. He was stressed about it.
Strength, it's about capacity. So when you have something like we envision this game as like the best game in Web3, and when we think of that trait, we think of that's the best trait game. Like, I don't know if we're going to be able to send for a higher trait in the future. So it's not a concern. It's just of like, in the same way that you dream the game can be something, we dream that a trait could be something. Like, we think there's a reason why it's there, and I'm sure that they could balance it in a way that's meaningful no matter what. In fact, Wowee brought up the point earlier that in the future, more likely it's going to get nerfed other than anything, if anything. So the fact that it could even be suggested that MP could be a benefit to it, maybe not at 50%, maybe at 20, or maybe it's like, just giving it something that is early on before it's out, before people have used it, where they could say, hey, why would you do this? Like,
why would you want your hero coming back to life after it dies? I'm struggling with any complaints for Second Life. I struggle to entertain any of it because it's the best move in the game, at least on paper.
That's what we're saying. It is the best. So, like, is there room for it to be even better?
And Hubert, jump in anytime here.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see how it feels when we get to like balancing. Like, I do want the higher tier skills traits to feel like they're worth it, so that is a goal, but I think there's a point where you can go too far, and I don't know that it's there now. I don't think it is too far as it is now, but some of the things like that were suggested, like I don't know about that. So but I mean, still, I'm being able to stand up, even like maybe the exhaust is too much, perhaps maybe that's something we need to look at, but
like you're coming back at
think
it's not called second Half-Life.
I think what's it called? What What was the suggested like potential that I had for it earlier? I think it was
it's slow, not exhausted, but just slow.
Yeah, it
just
was
the
comes
slow
back to life
effect, yeah.
slowed and with 20% or 25% HP and MP. Even if you died and had more MP, it would be set down to 20 or 25.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone wants MP.
Hey, I think there should be a pet that has a possibility for a combat move where it has just at least a % chance where it doesn't use MP, and maybe there already is something like that.
Are we just doing pitches? We just doing pitches now? Because I'm in.
I don't know. When's the next time you're gonna have Hubert on?
Actually,
It's good timing.
yeah. On Tuesday, he's going to be on Bogside Chats with us.
Tuesday, wait, at what time?
9 p.m. Eastern.
Yep.
So there you go, Starbuck, right at you.
I can't wait till you come on to the Mythic Squad.
Oh, I love being on the Mythic Squad. I'll be the Mythic Squad villain forever. I love it.
If you're not a villain, man, you got 0% villain written all over you.
I think we could debate that topic for a while.
Yeah, he's the villain in the bog side as well.
Franz is villain, but not Starbucks. You're A-okay in my opinion.
Well, since we're nearing the top of the hour, Starbuck, did you have something you wanted to give away?
Oh yeah, I got a. I don't remember what it was. Wow,
Mythic Ninja with double toxic, right?
Oh snap! I'm entering that one.
That's almost to level 5. Can't wait to burn it with my Mythic Summoner.
And
I've
Hubert,
been watching that hero for what? Don't you dare burn that hero!
Hey,
It's
that
so
Mythic
good.
Summoner was made for it.
Oh,
Is
Hubert,
it double efficient? Is it a double efficient summoner?
Of course it is.
don't burn either of those.
Yeah, I wouldn't burn either of them. Those are great heroes.
Well, wait, no, you mean double intimidation?
I'm
Or whatever, yeah, whatever the matching one is.
100% joking, but we do got a Warloctopus to give away with the
Ooh.
combat, rare goldsmithing, and rare whatever are
let's
fishing.
see. What is the? Oh, what the hell? What's going on here?
And it's
What is the number?
110046.
Doom, doom, doom.
I
Look
had to give
at
it with
this
that.
badass.
Pretty pet.
Let's see. And it's an XP one too.
3-star combat.
3-star combat. This is a badass pet. All right, cool. Well, everybody in chat.
Can I ask a question that Hubert probably won't like?
Sure.
Pet bonuses first or traits first?
Ooh.
I will say that I would like to do both at the same time if possible.
That's going to
Interesting.
be some release day.
But I mean, at least I can say that at least right now, and unless we pare things down, there are 74 different like unique pet bonuses that we've created for combat, and yeah, I think there's some pretty cool ones in there. So I'm excited to kind of have that be the next paradigm of, yes, traits but also pets are gonna have a little bit more of an impact than just giving you XP. And it should make it, one of the goals with that was just to have the list be extra long so that it's just harder to get specific ones that you might want, so that just there's more variety there, since all pets kind of have the same pool of combat bonuses.
Well, they are technically an equipment spot, right? So it's cool that they have the same randomness as the equipment seems to, with the different bonuses.
Yeah. I mean, equipment's a little bit more very specifically divine with just kind of ranges built in. But yeah, with pets, it's a lot more. Who knows? But
You know what? I've got a little bit of a question that stems from when Workhorse came on earlier today. And it's when I asked him specifically, what's it like to kind of build the game backwards from the point of view, like you guys started with the NFT heroes, right? And in what ways did that limit you for how you have to build the game around what the NFT is capable of? Because obviously you can't edit the NFTs. And go ahead and answer something along the lines of that while I remember the other part of my question. Hold on.
Wow, yeah. Somebody record this for me and send it to me.
Starbuck, we're on hour 9. We're all losing it here.
You guys got 3 more hours of greatness. Sorry to cut you off.
No worries. I guess I'll just say it has been pretty tough. I mean, the way that we designed things, it was very like kind of. I think the analogy that often gets used is like we're building the airplane as we're flying it. You know, we've kind of just had to always be operating in this state of like, well, we need to get this out now because, you know, this is kind of the nature of crypto. We need to be moving. Like in that first initial launch of DFK from like the moment I joined, it was just like we were moving at such a fast pace that we kind of like didn't really have a lot of time to test out the designs even, or just like, all right, I this is to the best of my knowledge, I feel like this will work, and we've talked about it, and you know, I made changes that were requested, whatever, but we're just going with it. And you know, I think with the heroes and their stats and the way they level up, I feel like I landed in a pretty good spot with that. And you know, with the appropriate finesse of math, you can make most things that are math based work in a way that you need.
True.
So, but I will say probably the amount of finesse required for this has been a little bit more than maybe you see in other RPGs. But I think, you know, I don't know. How do you guys feel about like the way things work in combat with like the stat scores and speed and everything else, and how it's all based off of the stats and weapons and all that? Like,
I'm a big fan of it so far, but I feel like we're going to probably run into a really weird issue way down the line, where instead of hitting for, you know, a couple hundred or a couple thousand or a couple 10,000s, that the numbers are going to be so exponentially huge that we'll only be able to see it in like classic like Asian MMOs, where it's just like, okay, I just hit for 153K or 153M, and it's like the numbers will get so high that it might be hard to track like regular data.
I mean, HP, depending on how hard they go on vitality and what class they are, I don't think we're going to see many that get above like 20,000 HP. So, I mean, I wouldn't expect damage to be numbers that are higher than that.
Cool.
So,
is there anything that was made in the original Hero NFT that you or anyone on the team wishes they like would have not done, so it would make things easier?
I think there's quite a few of those things. Let's see. I mean, I've said it before in different things. Like I wish we had done things a little bit differently with summoning, and cooldowns for summons for one thing. Because now that it is as it is, it's hard to kind of get support to change that. But that's one thing that I really wish, you know, I would have stood a little bit more firmly on. The way we kind of set up the hero like NFT structure as well is something where we're finding more and more as we're getting like more advanced in our understanding of efficiency, that we made some choices that just we could have done it better. We could have been packing our data in a little bit more efficient way and things like that, so that gas costs would go down. And there's still things that we could potentially do in response to that, but it means like if we were to adjust now, it's extra work that we have to do. Like it's, you know, paying that technical debt. So there's there's the tainted genes were another one where, you know, I don't know how those even got in there, but they did. And having to address that and stuff, like we were able to do it in a good way where, you know, we tied it to the crafting genes, which was, you know, that was something where you say we can't change things. Well, we do have, there's some spare data in there. And we have also the option of just like adding more data that's not attached directly to the hero. Like your perilous journey status, for example, is in our like flag storage contract that we use for tracking things like, was this hero dark summoned? Are they perilous journey? And we can use it for other things in the future as well. We'll probably use it for travel also. But so, I mean, we have the option to expand, but I think those are probably the bigger things that I kind of regret.
Okay. Yeah. Very interesting.
It's like you had a list.
Wow. It is a really interesting question, because I agree, like with the whole like building it backwards. You know, you have these heroes first, and you build a game around them. like even separate from that, nobody has built a game on the blockchain like this before. So like separate from this weird, kind of have the heroes then build the game, you're still just building something that's like hasn't really been done ever. So I feel like you're saying these are mistakes, but like no one's ever done it before. Like you're the first one to do it, so I don't know if you can call these mistakes.
Well,
Right,
like
something where it would have been a little better if we had done it a different way.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna roll this this giveaway real quick. So everybody who's new in chat, I can see so many people already spamming the the command. So go ahead, and the giveaway is now live.
Wait, how do I win this? Like, what do I got to do to win it? Too?
Go into chat, do and exclamation mark enter. If you win your own giveaway, that'd be incredible.
Chat.
If your name in Twitch is different than your username in YouTube, you can actually enter into both, because my bot does not count that as a duplicate because they're different.
Can I just say, you've had 50 plus people concurrently for the entirety of this stream on YouTube. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I'm having a good time. Hopefully everyone else is having a good time.
Huge Wowee.
Well,
only 3 hours left, right?
I'll jump in and say this now. Hubert, thank you so much for taking time to jump on with us and chat. This was awesome getting some of your insight.
I know. I got Sergeant up here. I'm gonna pull him in. Because
let Hubert answer the.
We're 7 minutes. I want Sergeant to hear the sign off. Sergeant.
Hey, Sergeant.
Hi, Sergeant.
In case he needs to get ready. Sorry, Hubert, I interrupted you.
Oh, no worries. I was just saying, I thank you for the invite and for doing this super long stream. I hope you guys are not going to be completely burnt out and then we'll never do something like this again in the future. But yeah, I kind of missed all the stuff that I was all of your theory crafting on the classes and whatnot. I guess I missed a lot of that, and so maybe I'll have to hear back or go back and watch it later to see, because as I've said before, I love watching, anytime you guys are creating content based on the game, it makes me so happy to see people engage so much. And I keep the feedback coming. We do listen to what you have to say, and we may make some choices that will make some people angry, and it's never meant to be malicious. So it just was something that we thought was imbalanced, and that's why we changed it. And if we change it too hard, we might change it a little bit back potentially, but we might also not if we feel like it's in a good spot too. So it's just our goals are always to try to land in the right spot at the beginning, but that's really hard to do, especially as we keep adding more and more with something so complex as this. But anyway, I hope you guys are still enjoying the hunts and are still getting loot and all that stuff. And I'll be back again on Tuesday.
Heck yeah!
We're very excited.
Thank you for stopping by. So again, thank you so much for stopping by, Hubert. And as I would say probably the #1 fan of One Small Stone, I think that the change was actually a really good one. And as much as I want to pout about it, I think it works out a little bit better. And that's my whole point. I just don't want you to feel so bad about it. I actually think it was an important change that needed to happen.
Well, I'm glad to hear other people say that, because that was why we did it. But anyway, well, cool. I guess I'll get all you guys here, and you got a bunch of other guests here. So nice to talk with y'all, and see y'all next time.
Thank you so much, man. Have a good night.
Thanks,
all right, everybody's gone. Let's start talking shit.
What's wrong with you?